Hello everyone, it's Evie here, and today I am talking about self-worth. And this is something that I almost didn't talk about because I felt like it was too personal, getting into like too raw of emotions for me. And I I did my oracle card reading this morning and um meditated and reflected on the cards that I pulled, and it was such a message of healing my feelings of self-worth, my feelings of not being good enough. And I felt like, okay, it's a sign that I have to talk about it today because I know a lot of people can relate that this is something that a lot of us go through. Um, and we might feel like we're being rejected, and it's like, well, why am I not good enough for you or that thing? Maybe you're looking for a romantic partner or a new job, and you're meeting people or you're going on interviews and you're not getting the job and you're not getting another date, and it feels bad. It feels like, oh, I'm getting rejected and I'm not good enough. And that sucks. It always sucks. Or somebody's talking to you about something and they like disguise it under the veil of, I just want what's best for you. And really, they're just trying to be manipulative and trying to bring you down. I mean, not everybody is like that. Not everybody who says, I just want what's best for you, is like trying to manipulate you. Some people genuinely do. But these can also bring us feelings of not being good enough. And the question then becomes, well, how do I cultivate that feeling? How do I start feeling like I am worthy, that I am good enough? And it took me a while to figure out like what made me feel good enough. It took a long time to like start to cultivate this feeling, and even now that I am doing the work, I still have moments where I feel like, oh my god, I'm not good enough. I still have times when people say something to me and I feel like, oh god, maybe I'm not good enough. Why am I not good enough for this or that? And it can suck, and you have to really keep going back and relying on your own sense of self-worth. And if that's not something that you have already, then you have to build it up. And the biggest help for me to build up my feelings of self worth was to just be me, to be my authentic self, to do what feels right to me. That even if somebody makes a comment about what I do, like I've had people say, oh, you're an author, that must be a fun hobby. Or, oh, you're never going to be a real author because until you have your book turned into a movie or something. It's like, I am a real author because I have written and published my books. Like, that makes me an author. End of story. And, people asking, oh, well, have you sold any books yet? And, like, being really condescending and rude about it. And, like, just being haters. Like, some people are like that. And you really have to brush it off because I am an author, and it doesn't mean that I'm not good enough because other people don't understand what I do. Like, I've had people say, oh, you're not a good author. It's like, oh, well, have you read one of my books? Have you read anything I've written to, like, do you have criticism for me? Because I will take constructive criticism and, like, turn it around, try to improve. And that's how I improve, by hearing constructive criticism. And some people who I ask that are like, oh, no, I've never read anything that you've written. It's like, well, how can you know I'm not a good author if you've never read anything I've written? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And some people are just haters, and it happens. That But I used to feel so bad when people would tell me stuff like that and feel like, oh my god, I'm not good enough. I'm not a good enough author and I'm never going to make it. And I just stopped caring, really, because I'm doing what I love. And if my books are up to my standard, then that's what matters to me, that I enjoy them. And I hope that other people can enjoy them, of course. And I always appreciate feedback when people read them and tell me how they felt about it. And I take that. But when there are people who are saying, I don't like your book, it's like, okay, can you tell me why? Instead of feeling like, oh my god, I'm not good at this, I'm horrible. It's like, okay, I can improve. Because I'm secure enough in that I'm an author, that I am good at what I do, even though there's always room for improvement and betterment. That, okay, I'm good at this, and I'm not gonna let somebody's criticism make me feel like I'm not good enough. And other things, like in other areas of your life. That was just like my personal example, but other areas of your life, like you're trying to find a romantic relationship and somebody rejects you and it doesn't feel good. You feel like, I'm not good enough and I don't, like, nobody's ever gonna love me and things like that. Um, just know that you are good enough, that you just haven't found the right person yet. And you will. Just keep being yourself. Keep doing what feels good to you. And everything will fall into place. And the same goes for finding a new job. You might have an interview and you think, oh, that went really well and I think I'm going to get the job. And then if it turns out that you don't get the job, and then you feel like, oh man, I wasn't good enough. Why was I not good enough? And what can I do? You just have to keep going. Keep applying to jobs and keep interviewing, and you will find that place that will appreciate you for who you are, and you'll be grateful for it in the end. I mean, I've been there. That it's just, you have to keep going and just be secure in who you are and keep doing the things that you enjoy. Do things that feel good to you, and that will help greatly, because once you feel like, okay, I'm good with who I am, I'm good with what I'm doing with my life. Even if you want to get over there, you have goals. Like, we all have goals. But if you feel like, okay, I can do this, I feel good about what I'm doing, and just take little steps. That's the big thing, is taking even the smallest step towards bettering yourself, towards feeling like you're good enough. It'll make a huge difference, I promise. Like, small steps are still steps. And once you look back at everything, I mean, you'll see, like, holy crap, I've come such a long way and didn't even realize it. Like, you might have enjoyed the process, and that's so important, to enjoy the process, to enjoy our lives, and not worry so much about other people, because there is always going to be somebody somewhere to say something that might make us feel bad. And it's important that we feel good enough in ourselves to just let it slide, or if it's somebody like parents, sometimes make us feel like we're not good enough. I think we've all been frustrated by our parents at some point, where they might make a comment like, oh, well, that person's not good enough for you, or that job's not good enough for you, or you feel like nothing you do is good enough for your parents. And it happens, and maybe you need to have a conversation with them and say, this is how I feel because you say these things all the time and they don't make me feel good. Or maybe you just want to ignore it and, like, move on because what they say doesn't matter so much. It depends on your situation, really, but as long as you're secure with who you are, I think that's the most important thing, is feeling like, I am good enough for who I am. I'm content with who I am. And that's the important thing. Some people like to say affirmations. You can do that. Just repeat, like, I am good enough. I am worthy. For me personally, I find that when I am not feeling that way, saying the affirmations just makes me feel worse. So I just don't say affirmations very often. And if I do, I find, like, realistic ones, things that I do actually feel good about, that I do actually believe. So the affirmations will actually help me rather than hurt me. Because if I were just to say, like, oh, I am worthy, I am good enough, and I'm not feeling those things, I'll just keep repeating, no, I'm not, no, I'm not. And it doesn't help. And I know a few other people who have that same issue with affirmations where they just don't work because it's like a reminder of I am not this, even though I'm trying to tell myself that I am. And it's okay. Find something that you do feel good about. I feel good about my writing skills. I feel good about recording these videos. I am good enough to do those things because I feel good about them. And that's what works for me. Finding things that I feel good about. And little by little, it'll create a bigger effect, and you will feel worthy. You will feel like you're good enough, and you will find the things that are meant for you rather than trying to do these things that other people might want you to do, or trying to get a job for the sake of having a job. Maybe the universe is trying to get you to move towards the right kind of job where you will really thrive. And if you just have patience and hold out a little bit longer, you will get there and you will be so happy that you did. I mean, I know for me, like I spent a lot of time looking for a romantic relationship and like just wanting to have that special someone in my life, and feeling bad when I was rejected, feeling like, oh my god, why am I not good enough for you, when somebody didn't want to be in a relationship with me. And looking back at it now, because I have found an incredible relationship, I'm so glad it didn't work out with anybody else, because they weren't right for me and we weren't right for each other. But my boyfriend now, like, I'm so grateful for him, to have him in my life, and I might not have if I had just settled for what wasn't really for me, if I had just given up hope because I got rejected and I didn't feel like I was good enough. Maybe we weren't right for each other with those other people, but with my relationship now, like, we are so compatible and learning from each other, and it's an incredible relationship, and I feel grateful to have found it. And I wouldn't have had I just given up and been like, oh, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. You know, you are good enough. You just have to hold out for what's truly yours. You just have to keep pushing and keep being yourself. That's so important. And I think a lot of people in life are afraid to be themselves. I've been there where I've hidden so much of myself because I was afraid of what other people would think, where I was afraid of getting ridiculed and rejected. So I felt like, oh, well, I'm not good enough. But you know what? I am, and so are you. You just have to feel good about who you are and who you're becoming. That's so important. And just don't let anybody else dull your shine and keep you from feeling like you're worthy, because you are. You really are. You just have to find what's yours, what's right for you. And it may be different from what you think it is. Maybe what you thought was good for you was somebody else's idea of what was best for you. And when you take the time to realize and really think about it, you'll find that, oh, wait, I don't really want this for myself. And you'll start to find what you do really want, and you'll feel worthy of it, and you'll feel good about yourself. And I feel like I'm rambling now, so I think I'm going to end that here, but I definitely want to hear from you. What makes you feel worthy? And if you don't feel worthy, what steps can you take today to start cultivating that feeling of worthiness? And I really hope this helps, and I will see you all next time. Bye!